United States, we just recently celebrated the official day that marks Dr. Martin Luther King Day. I'm here to tell you, we celebrate his greatness and we celebrate the legacy of what he stood for 365 every single day, okay? I'm Black, I'm South African, I grew up under apartheid. You cannot tell me nothing when it comes to the reverence and the love, the deep gratitude that I feel towards leaders like Dr. MLK. So today, not only am I celebrating Dr. MLK, but I also want us to look to him. I mean, we look to him for so many things, but you know he was one of the greatest speakers of all time. Okay, like the OG GOAT. If you've ever heard any of his speeches, and if you haven't, what planet do you live in? Please, I need you to pause this video if you haven't and go listen through to one of his speeches and just understand the level of power behind this man every time he opened his mouth to address an audience. We're talking about somebody who could move mountains. And all of us can learn from that type of conviction and that type of amazingness, that goatness when you open your mouth and speak. In this video, we're going to break down 3 things that you can learn from Dr. MLK that made him the GOAT of oration and why you should be paying attention to his speeches even today. Yes, absolutely, for the civil rights component of things that we're fighting for right now in this present time, right? I mean, basic example, in the United States, the right to vote, that's something that is currently being contested. Believe it or not, those are the kinds of issues that Dr. MLK was working towards in his lifetime, and you best believe the next 4 years and right now, today, wild to say, but we're in that battle right now. I'm not gonna get into all of that. We're gonna focus on the 3 things that we can learn from Dr. MLK that only the GOAT could give us and impart with us as part of his living legacy. If you're ready, let's get into it. Hey, welcome to Love on Stage. I'm Magogodi. If you're ready to make sales and spark action when you speak, this is your place. I've helped dozens of leaders choose courage over comfort by speaking with confidence and love, especially in tough conversations. Because listen, public speaking isn't just a thing that you do on stage. It's what you do every time you deliver a work presentation, when you interview for that plump job you deserve, when you negotiate your salary, and every time you sweat bullets during a big pitch. That's all public speaking. It's time to level up your storytelling because your story matters. So, you ready to speak like a boss? Let's get into your most powerful story. This might come as a surprise to you, but did you know that public speaking made Dr. MLK a little bit nervous, especially at the beginning? You have to remember that we're talking about somebody who got his start as a civil rights activist extremely young. I mean, honestly, he was a baby when he was just thrust to the forefront and he became a leader. At the age of 26, he gave his very first address to a big audience when he was leading the Montgomery bus boycott. Age 26, people. Okay, I don't know how old you are. I'm 42, so I know 26 is baby years old. And I also know from history that he reports having had the jitters and being quite nervous. But the things that helped him are the things that can help you as well. Purpose being number 1. One thing about Dr. MLK is he was somebody who was deeply living in purpose and in intention. And it doesn't matter what age you are. When you have full intention and you're aligned with a power beyond yourself, in his case, 2 powerful things: the purpose of civil rights and working for social justice, right? Equal rights for all human beings. That number 1 purpose. And the purpose, number 1 purpose of serving God, We know that Dr. MLK was a reverend, he was a man of faith. What that does to you when you step on the stage is it puts you so deep inside of the reason, your why. Why am I standing in front of this audience and opening my mouth to speak? That you begin to understand how small you are in relationship to the mightiness of the work that you are called to do. I'm not saying that Dr. MLK was small, never, not for a day, not even at age 26, okay? What I am saying is he understood his place next to his God. He understood his place next to a movement that began long before he was born, long before, bless, his mom gave birth to him. His ancestors, our ancestors, have been doing this work of fighting white supremacy and fighting injustice, quite frankly, since the beginning of human beings on earth. There have been humans who've been fighting injustice, okay? He was pretty clear on that I'm part of a wider movement. What I need you to think about, your takeaway from that, from the GOAT, what's your purpose? Why are you standing in front of this audience? Why are you opening your mouth to speak? It doesn't even have to be in front of an audience, but when you're standing somewhere and you are feeling nervous to speak, ground in your why. Understand why you are being of service. What is the higher good that you are serving through speaking that has nothing to do with little you, okay? And I also need you to tap into your spirit. What is the source, the power, your energy field? Like, where does it come from? If that's a Christian God for you, I need you to tap into that Christian God. I need you to get on your knees and pray to the gods that you know by the names that you know them. If you're Muslim, I need you to get really clear on your faith, right? As a good Muslim, and 5 times a day, I need you to tap into the way that you pray. When you are being obedient, I need you to bring that level of obedience and understand that your work as a speaker, that this thing that's powerful enough to make you nervous, it has to be in service and in alignment to that God. If you're Jewish, if you're agnostic, whatever it is that your faith is, you need to tap into that. If you're like me and your ancestors are your everything, bring that power. Like, bring your ancestors with you when you speak. I do that regularly and it's a game changer. Like, it's not even about me. It's about, like, we're entering this room together, and look at my grandmother and how much just light I feel. I mean, I'm alone in this room right now recording this YouTube, and I can tell you, even just bringing her name up, my grandmother is Pash, she's my ancestor, and when I can feel it. I can feel the energy in this room shift because I know that the glory that is that woman's spirit is with me right now. So I want you to have that level of conviction in your purpose and your highest purpose when you speak. Number 2, what can we learn from the GOAT? Dr. MLK had just such profound training, right? Here's somebody who grows up in the church in Atlanta, and this is also somebody who went to Morehouse, somebody who went to Boston University, and in both of those places he was studying theology and he was also studying rhetoric. They gave him so much opportunity to practice, to be somebody who takes his craft really seriously. Speaking is a craft. And let me tell you something, in case you didn't know, 70% of all people who work in the United States use public speaking as part of their job. 70%. So if you're alive and you have a job, more likely than not, you're using public speaking. And I want you to study the GOAT and think about what are some of the skills that he used to hone his craft, because you're gonna have to hone your craft too, honey. Maybe nobody told you, but you're gonna have to be a really good speaker in order to get that promotion. You're gonna have to be a really good speaker in order to clinch that client, in order to grow your business. And one of the things that you can do is get really serious about studying your craft. Dr. MLK was the kind of person who really practiced his speeches. They didn't just happen by mistake. He wrote brilliant speeches. He had a way of breaking down really complicated ideas in a way that it hit people it came for your jugular vein, right? When anybody thinks about that famous speech, I have a dream, you really need to go and read the transcript. You really need to pause and go to the video and just listen to it line by line and what he's saying, because it is so deep, it's so multi-layered. That's like policy that he's laying out. But the way that he lays out that policy is in a way that forever we're going to be talking about it, because it is made visceral for the human brain. And what I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to put you on game. You need to become like Dr. MLK in being a student of your craft. Where are the moments, maybe you didn't grow up in the church, maybe you didn't go to Boston University, I know I didn't go to Morehouse, but guess what? Like, I take my craft really seriously. So, where are the opportunities for you to speak? Are you raising your hands when that opportunity shows up, right? When you're being asked at work, like, who's going to present this? I need to see your hand being higher than everybody else's. When you have an opportunity to work with somebody who helps you become a deeper and more powerful speaker, I need you to be the kind of person who actually makes that investment and takes it very seriously. Because again, 70% of workers in the United States use public speaking in order to do their work. And I want to be really clear about this, because it is not about commerce and it is not about capitalism. It is about that deeper purpose that we spoke about earlier. If you're really serious about fulfilling your purpose here on earth, you're going to have to do it in concert with other human beings. And to be able to do that, you need to speak to them and to meet them at the level where they are. And to do that, honey, you gotta work on those public speaking skills. It's a craft, and I need you to take it really seriously. People don't really think about this very much, but Dr. MLK took notes. Dr. MLK was the kind of speaker, when he spoke in front of an audience, he wasn't just like standing there and being like, you know, I'm a big leader, let me tell you how we're going to do this. No, he was in conversation, in relationship, in community with his audience. In fact, he called his people the beloved community. And I mean, like, when we talk about radical love and what does it mean to be in the practice of radical love, the beloved community is at the center of that radical love. It is very much the heart of why this company that you're watching, this YouTube channel, the company is called Love is a Kind of Cure. That's not by mistake, and that is in conversation with this radical community. So let's go back to the point. The point is, he was a man who listened to his beloved community. He was a man who listened to an audience and took feedback. So when you're speaking, are you listening? Or are you just there for your ego, to let people know how big and important you are? When you're speaking, are you asking, are you actively soliciting for feedback? Like, well, how can I do that better? Or do you think that this is actually going to get us towards this big purpose that we're working towards? And do you have ideas of how I could better say it, how I could better explain it so that it really lands? I need you to have that kind of humility when you are in a position of leadership, which is often what speaking is, right? Dr. MLK showed us that in order to be the highest kind of leader, you first have to begin by being the biggest servant there is. For me, this work, even starting this YouTube channel, this is, for me, a practice of service. I want to serve. I want to offer what I know. And what I know for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that the GO.A.T was a student of his craft. The GO.A.T was somebody who was humble enough to listen to people in the audience, to allow him to correct course. If he could do it, that means I definitely got something to learn there. If he venerated his highest purpose, his God, and something bigger than him in standing in front of people and in moving crowds and building a movement, best believe I am always going to go back to the drawing board for this YouTube channel and for everything else that I do in my life, as a writer, as a speaker, as a mom, as a human being, and ask myself, am I in alignment? Am I serving my ancestors, and am I making them proud? Am I serving God? Am I praising God? that's really what it's about for me, and I hope these tools are useful for you. I would love to know in comments if you're also somebody who understands that Dr. MLK is the GOAT of public speaking. Who do you think he studied? Because this is another thing, and this is like an extra tip. Part of studying his craft is he studied the people that he considered the greatest of all time, right? Let me give you a clue of one person. One person that he was studying, well, I'll give you a clue of two people. Two people that he was studying. One person was a president of the United States who was very pivotal in ending slavery in the United States. That's one person. And then the other person was very pivotal in ending a type of oppression and colonialism. I'll just name him. In India, we're talking about Mahatma Gandhi. Fun fact, Mahatma Gandhi actually began his work as a public speaker and as an activist in South Africa. We can get into that on a whole other different, like a whole different everything. But yeah, Dr. MLK used to study those two as part of his honing his craft of how to get better. I want to hear in comments, who else do you think or know that he studied as the GOAT in becoming the best, like the GOAT himself, okay? So excited to hear from you. Thank you for being here. Was that useful? You want to go even deeper? I'd love to support you. My coaching program can help you make money and spark action whenever you speak with intention. Book time to chat using the link in the description box below. Also, leave a comment if this video offered something you needed to hear today, or if you have a question you want me to unpack in next week's episode. Fresh episodes drop every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Hit subscribe to get a notification so you never miss a beat. Thank you so much for being here. I want you to know that your story matters. And I'm here to help you stand out from the stage to the page.